Good morning and welcome from the Centercourt Club and Sports and Centercourt Academy. We have the Centercourt Makos Team Showcase powered by BFA Sports. And for BFA Sports, I'm Al Fisher along with my brother from another, Doug Stasic, the legendary Dave Gallagher, and then the legendary coach Tom Ryder. Want to welcome everybody for this team showcase.
All right, we're already ready to go here. So we got some guys that forget the intros. Let's get right into the pitching, right? I mean, we're here for showcase day for sure. I got no coach watching Mr. Doherty right now, so I guess we'll get him on the hill. Ask Jake if he's ready to go. But again, Doug Stasic alongside legendary coach, as Al said, Tom Ryder, and another legend, Dave Gallagher. So welcome this morning.
Yeah, I think Jake is probably just loosening up.
Yet, right? Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good to be back with you guys, and just so to let everybody know that it is watching. I was about 6 weeks ago now, I was named as senior advisor to the Centercourt Baseball Academy. Centercourt has 8 facilities around the state. 5 of those 8 have baseball in the facility, and they do all sports, and it's been a fantastic experience so far. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys for the first time also.
All right, well, we have Jake Doherty warming up out of Burlington Township High School. Let's get a nice shot from both behind and a side profile. Again, Doherty out of Burlington Township High School, 5'11", 160. He's a 3.8 GPA. Throws right, bats right, and he's an infielder pitcher.
Hearing a lot of good things about Jake, live arm. John is going to know.
Yep.
John's going to know these kids a lot better than I am. This is his organization, and he's been around these kids, so he'll have many more comments than I will. But
yep. I'm going to introduce John Reyna.
Good morning,
the
guys.
Man, the myth, the legend at
Good morning.
Centercourt Makos. Glad to have you aboard. Glad to start this partnership here. And tell us about a little bit about Jake Doherty.
Sure, certainly. Hey, we're really excited for today, so I want to thank you guys. Jake is a junior coming out of Burlington Township. Strong right-handed arm, and the ball just really flies out of his hands naturally, and pitches with a lot of confidence. And Jake has received certainly some interest over this past summer, and he's had a tremendous growth this past year. His fastball has increased about 6 miles an hour, and he also, his younger brother's with us, and I think you're going to be impressed with him as well today.
Yeah, Jake being only a junior, you're looking at his arm below the fastball getting around 87, 88 miles an hour.
Yeah, he, we played a really strong schedule over the summer, and we extended these guys an extra week or two, and generally speaking, he sits somewhere between 84 and 86, and he's touched 89 a number of times.
John, is it right that his dad played Division I baseball?
That's correct, yeah. His dad actually was on the championship team at Ryder. And in fact, I think his dad's pitcher's on the outside of their dugout.
Nice.
Celebrating the championship.
Yeah, that goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to know about the genetics, and it does have meaning, but I think about how helpful his dad will be after rough starts.
Mm-hmm.
He has a bad day, that conversation on the car ride home is probably very fruitful. It probably helping his growth and development. So there is a lot behind that.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And his dad has even talked to us as a staff at times. What he's seeing is with pitching, and he's always been tremendously helpful. And I know he's helping the boys too.
Not a whole lot of grunting. It seems like it comes out of his hand pretty easy.
He is. It's just a natural arm strength. Doesn't try and overdo it, and he really throws well for us. And he is a top of rotation guy for us.
There's the pitch that I still to this day despise, the slider.
Yep.
I never learned to hit that pitch.
That's why I was getting ready to say, why did
A lot of sleepless nights over that pitch. I don't even think it should be allowed.
Yeah, yeah. When it looks like a wiffle ball, it becomes very difficult to hit.
This fastball looks like it tails inside.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of arm side run.
Yep.
He should be wrapping up here soon here.
I always defer to others when it comes to talking pitching, but what I do see, and I'm sure his dad can help him with, is self-corrections. I've always been a big believer, whether it's as a hitter or a pitcher, you have to be able to feel what breaks down in pressure, in game pressure, and know exactly how to correct it and apply it to your performance. No emotion can get in the way. And that's what I think, like, how helpful his dad's conversations. His dad lived it. Not only the success, which he obviously had, but the failures. And being able to explain how to get through that, how to show up the next day and work, and how to stay in the moment, even if things are getting away from you. But he looks like he's got a really good future. I've actually seen him field ground balls in here, too, a few weeks ago. And he's got some good hands.
Yeah, Jake Doherty out of Burlington Township. Burlington Township's got to be excited. He's actually in his junior year. Still got 2 years out of him coming up. Should be a great program, especially him at the top of the hill.
Burlington does put out a lot of talented kids. It does. I grew up in Hamilton Square, and similar to Burlington, a lot of just blue-collar, hard-working people. And I feel for the athletes that are going to have to advance into some higher levels, that mentality works for you. When nothing is really given to you and you have to answer mistakes and failure with more work, I think that can be helpful at times. We got a tall drink of water here.
Yeah, we do. This is Grant Francisco out of Burlington Township High School, 6'2", 165 pounds, class of 24, sophomore. I did say that right. Yep, sophomore. He's got a 4.5/5.0 GPA.
He's a heck of a lot better student than I ever was. That's great. Nowadays more than ever, and parents are always going to tell the kids how important their school, their academics are. Now, with everything that's going on with the NCAA rules and how these kids are kind of getting the short end of the stick in the recruiting world coming out of high school because the transfer portal is so large, they really got to rely on their grades and their academics to get them into school. And then, hopefully they can find a place where they can play baseball. But boy, just looking at him, this is the first time I've put my eyes on him. That is a projectable body.
Oh, 100%.
And these coaches that are listening and watching, they know what they're looking at.
Right.
They look at a kid like this and see his velocity and say, all right, before we see this kid, he's going to be 20 to maybe even 30 pounds heavier. His velocity is going to jump just naturally. So I'm thinking he's going to attract some eyes as well.
Not that you talk about projectability, but you talk about 6'2", but look at the length in his lower body. You think there's probably maybe a little bit more growth in him too. There's still a chance, right?
Absolutely.
It could be as much as 6'4". Well, coming off that mound.
There you go back to the genetics
length.
again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That it is helpful to know foot size, hand size. Somehow now with the analytics, right? The spin rate is big. Coaches nowadays, they all know what that spin rate means. I think the most intriguing thing to me is that spin rate is they're starting to prove that it can show future velocity, and if that is true, that's a huge breakthrough. But I believe, I could be wrong, that the pitchers who can get that high spin rate seem to have long fingers, big hands, long fingers. And it makes sense. Years ago when I played for the Mets, I was having a catch in front of the dugout with Doc Gooden. And we're only 40 feet away from each other, just casually. And then he starts breaking off curveballs. I could hear them coming. They were spinning so tight I could hear them, and they were hard to catch. You know, like it's breaking late. Like I just say, stop, Doc. You know, and then I'm trying to throw it, and he's, you know, basically laughing at me. Yeah, Grant's got a good arm, good body, very projectable.
Came out of the box throwing right around 82 miles an hour his fastball.
Young kid too.
Yep.
Just threw a changeup, and you know, the more I'm around the game at this level, the more I'm starting to believe in those midweek bullpens in season in front of, with pitchers, with pitching guys, not with Dave Gallagher. I'm not a pitching guy, but I think that's obviously it's a field pitch, and the more they throw it, even from a younger age, I think the quicker they get to the point where they can throw it with the proper arm speed and get the results they want. If they're starting to throw that pitch at 15 or 16, it's going to come later. You know, now there would be different opinion on the breaking ball, but the changeup, I don't think. Again, I defer to pitching guys. I don't think is going to hurt the kid's arm or elbow if thrown properly.
Guys, I'm back. I had to step away just for a moment. This is Grant Francisco. Grant is
Yep. So we have John Reyna. John Reyna is joining us. That was who was speaking earlier. As John Reyna rejoins us. Go ahead, talk about Grant Francisco, John.
Yeah, Grant is new with the program. He started with us in the fall, and you know, he has. We really believe that he has tremendous upside here. Obviously, has great build for a pitcher, long, lean body, a really electric arm. You know, I'm not sure where he's sitting today, but he's somewhere usually around 83 to 85.
That's where he is. It's about 82, 83.
Yeah. Again, it's a little later in the season,
Sure.
but you know, 82, 83. We really believe in his stuff. We, you know, going to continue to work with our pitching guys internally in the off season. His older brother is a pitcher at East Stroudsburg, and his older brother, he's sitting somewhere between 95 and 97. His older brother.
Wow.
So we don't know if you know, Grant's going to be there, but he certainly is promising here, and he's a very young man.
He's young. Yeah, he's only a sophomore. Yeah.
He's young.
He just got the 84, just so you know.
Okay,
Yep,
good.
yep.
Yeah, so that's about right.
Right there. Yep.
Yep. And a lot of guys would kill to have his size and his build.
John, he's got strong academics too. It looks like
He does. He's a great student, and he's another Burlington Township kid. Jake Daugherty's out of Burlington, and you're going to see another number of Burlington guys today. And we really put an emphasis on academics here. And the boys know how critically important it is to their success, and they have the opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, that's he's going to attract some eyes, no doubt, just looking at him. And I want to take a second to talk a little bit. John has not asked me to say this, but I'm going to say it. So I met John several weeks ago when I joined this organization, and from the top down, I mean, I did my due diligence on the ownership of Centercourt facilities. Their holdings include professional sports teams, but also a youth development company that they purchased, and that went a long way for me. Like, wow, I think I'm jumping into something that, you know, a program that really cares about the kids. Then I meet John, and John is not an embellisher. He's not an exaggerator. Man, this is just right up my alley. He is all about the kids. He's probably not happy that I'm talking about him, but we're going to do it anyway. So, and his son Johnny, and I was just talking to you, Al, about Johnny is more new school, and he's in analytics, and John is that old school approach, but seems to be doing what I'm doing, open-minded to hear everything new. And I think that's going to be healthy for these kids, because that's where the game is at now, is trying to be open-minded from both sides and blend in what is best for the priority, which is the kids. And I also feel I'm going to give Matt Rizzuto a plug here. He's the COO. Everything that has come out of his mouth since I've been involved is about the kids, including this event. The players here are not paying for this event. It's just offered as a service. And if you look around this beautiful facility, the entire facility on a weekend is open for these kids.
That's awesome.
To do this event.
Fantastic.
That goes such a long way with me and where this organization is headed. At this point as adults, we got to get out of the way and just support and help these kids and their families.
Well, thanks for the plug, Dave. I got to tell you, it's a process for me. Go old school, new school.
Me too.
I was hardcore. Hey, there's no music during practice. We're going to have ultra focus, and we're going to wear our pants all the same way. We're going to look the same way, and over time, we certainly have discipline. However, we let the player be who they are, and without losing too much here.
All right, we have Josh, and I hope I say this right, Osiander?
Very close.
Very close. Help me out there.
Osiander.
Osiander. All right.
Yep.
Out of Allentown Central Catholic. He's an infielder pitcher. Class of 23. Stands at 6'2", 170 pounds with a 3.1 GPA.
Yeah, Josh has just a great build for a young man. Fills out a uniform exceptionally well. Works out. Routinely, always in the weight room. Takes great pride in physical fitness. And Josh has been with the program now. It's been 1 year. And we're really excited and happy to have Josh part of the program here. Josh is very athletic, so he's kind of jack of all trades for us. Hits in the heart of the order for us. And he will manage some innings. Play really anywhere in the infield. So he may move from the middle infield to one of the corners for us, and demonstrates impressive range in the outfield as well.
John, that looks like a pretty tight breaking ball.
Yeah,
and consistent.
It is tight. It is tight. And he that's his go-to pitch, his out pitch. I mean, work that off the fastball. Sometimes he'll pitch backwards on a guy.
And just in this glimpse that I'm getting of him, I think I'm going to be right with this comment, but you can tell me. He just looks like he competes on the mound.
He is a competitor. He is an absolute competitor. He really enjoys, getting the opportunity to have the ball in his hands and win a ball game for us or shut a game down.
So just throw this out to you two, Tom and John. You have a player like this at this age. I always felt like part of what we as youth coaches need to help these kids with is to find out where do they fit best, because they don't really know. They're just going out and playing and competing. They don't know what they're going to need to be a pitcher at the college level or a position player or both. And I feel like that we can be helpful. Sometimes it's obvious that a kid is only going to pitch, or vice versa, or he's only going to be a position player. Tom, maybe I throw something to you. The difficulty in being a two-way player going into college, did you have players like that? And if you did, was it hard to handle them?
No, it was very hard, because I know our last year at Cumberland County College, we had two kids who were very, very good pitchers and also position players. And their sophomore year, we had to talk Joe Zangi into Joe. You're no longer a catcher and a pitcher. Your future is in pitching, because Joe was in the mid-90s and every once in a while the upper 90s. And another young man played third base and ended up getting a nice scholarship to James Madison University after we talked him into Danny. You just have to pitch also too, son. And they both ended up playing some minor league baseball in the Met system, and they're both playing now. So we had to help them make that decision, because from my perspective anyway, pitching and catching are not good matchups. Yeah. I don't think you should do both of them at the same time during the game. Yeah. And it's very important, if you like you said though too, if you have a guy that can do two or three different things, like maybe a pitcher, an infielder, an outfielder, you got to find out what is going to be the most efficient position for him to play to help him maintain his future experiences with baseball. Mm-hmm. But something you guys have both talked about, which is real important to me, is academics. I mean, when you were a player, coaches would say, hey, can Dave play? You know, I
True.
mean, can Jimmy Mayer play? Yeah, they can play, but okay, now it's more so, hey, is he a good student? Is he a character or a quality player? And then is he a good baseball player? I mean, that's the way you have to approach things now.
Yeah.
Because if you look at these rosters, you got kids from 2025 to 2022 and 2021.
Right.
This is a hard road for these kids to deal with today.
Yeah, I hate to put myself down, but I remember being at Mercer, and the coach at the time, Butch Miller, called me in the office and said I could go to Stanford. I actually said, what? I can go to Stanford? And his reply to me was, things can be done, David. That's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, you actually make yourself more appealing. I think coaches that listen in on this and watch will appreciate what I'm about to say. You're more appealing when you're strong academically because that helps them package an offer to you. So they might sprinkle in some financial aid depending on the family, but if they can get your tuition down by academics, you are now more appealing to them because they might be able to save some athletic scholarship money and go in a different direction to make their team stronger.
And being strong academically, you've also proved that you're committed to a program and what you're going to do, where you want to further your life.
Yeah. John, who we have up on here now?
This is Ryan Williver. Ryan is a 22, and actually Ryan was one of my first players when I started the program a number of years ago, and just a tremendous kid, great work ethic. He'll play the corners for us, and then also he will come in and gives us some starts. And he's just a strike thrower. Just aggressively goes after the zone and gets outs. And a very dependable and reliable arm for us.
Is he throwing two-seamers?
He throws a two-seam. Yep. No, he'll throw a four-seam as well, but it looks like there he's throwing a two-seam.
Even from here, I guess it's just from being old and watching so many pitches in your lifetime. You can kind of see the tail on it. So I'm going, and it will sink. I'm going to guess, John. Is he also a slider or more of a breaking ball?
He's a breaking ball guy. Yeah, he is a breaking ball guy. And he's got a good change-up as well. I'm hoping he showcases that for us today. And he's a smart player, too. We'll talk more about that as we go into positions, but very smart, very good baseball IQ. Ryan played soccer and baseball and really focused on baseball going about 2 years ago exclusively. But he's, Ryan's got that boxy build, kind of like a cinder block bulldog guy. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, he is very athletic. And he doesn't have that hourglass figure like you and I, Dave. But,
yeah.
But
I removed all the mirrors from my house because I don't have that hourglass figure.
It's more like a fig.
SpongeBob, maybe?
Ryan certainly will surprise folks when he steps on the field.
Gets done in the classroom too, John. 3.6 GPA.
Just all around good kid, great family. Really just represents the program really well. And when he goes off and plays at the next level, I'm sure he's going to represent that institutional just fine.
One thing that we all get to look at in events like this that we don't have to do anymore because we're old is to see how a kid reacts to an event. Because as much as we're relaxed and enjoying this, it can be a little bit stressful for them. It can cause a little anxiety. You see some kids run into the bathroom. I'm sure they're nervous. But, some of these schools that would be tuning in and watching, every day that you perform, your weekends may attract a lot of people. There's pressure on winning at the college level. So it's okay to fail in an event like this or not play as well as you hoped, as long as you learn from it. And John did a great job of talking to the kids prior of, slowing things down. That's in any sport. Why do NFL quarterbacks many times, including Patrick Mahomes, sit out a year and just hold a clipboard? So it's for them to learn the game and to understand when a blitz is coming, where it's coming from. Similar for these guys, they have to learn to pitch and perform under pressure. to be able to control their breathing, to be able to make self-adjustments in stressful situations. Not easy. We got a new one coming up on the mound now.
Yeah, this is Joey Ditta. Joey is on our 16U team, and he is a 2025. And
young kid.
He's a younger guy and has really good stuff, Dave.
From my alma mater, Steiner.
That's right. He's a Steiner kid. And I was actually talking to my son Johnny about him, just as an all-around player, and just 1 year since Joey started with us, we've seen tremendous growth in him. I mean, really, really, just improved in every aspect of the game. And this is when we talk about a bulldog on the mound. This is him.
He looks like that.
He is.
I got to give you credit because I feel like all of the kids that have stepped on the mound so far seem to have that similar demeanor, like they're getting after it.
Mm-hmm.
For a young kid, I don't see any anxiety or intimidation on his face.
Yeah. And Joey's 5'8", 5'9", but his dad's right around 6 foot, and I don't know how big Joey's going to get, but I got to tell you, he's got the biggest paws on a young kid I've ever seen.
Pedro Martinez
just swallows the ball in his hand. I mean, really big hands. So,
and his feet look like they're pretty big.
Yeah.
People, if there's parents listening, they're going to, why are they talking about that? But there is a reason we're talking about that, because it does help with projectability that you're going to grow. I mean, I personally was always like the second smallest kid in for my age in baseball, 9, 10, 12-year-old. I didn't grow until I was 16. And then I shot up. And that was actually helpful in the draft that I had an older brother that came to a game. My older brother, Marty, was 6'2", and I think scouts thought I was going to get to 6'2". I never did. But thankful for Marty, I had to give him part of my signing bonus.
You stopped growing?
I stopped growing.
I'm still growing.
I'm going the other way now. I'm shrinking now.
Have we introduced Joey Ditta?
Yes.
We just did.
All right, awesome. We just want to make sure I just step away for a second.
That's a nice pitch there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It really was.
A lot of depth in that. I'm starting to try to sound like a pitching guy, but I'm not.
Class of 25 freshman, huh?
Yeah, young guy. Yeah.
Just think, only a few months ago, he was walking out of 8th grade. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's going to be a really nice arm for Steiner, Dave.
It looks like it. If you can get that pitch over the way he is, that's strike one every time you throw it. Looks like he's going to try to run a fastball here. I've got to give credit to the Steiner program. Those kids will come out of Steiner when they go to college. They're the kids that get their paperwork in on time. They're always early for practice. And credit to the high schools in the area. It's so important that the kids do that. A lot of these guys think because they're one of the top players on their high school team that that's the way it's going to be. They may show up in college and be, barely on a roster. You ask to, show up at the weight room at a certain time or get your paperwork in, and you don't do it. You might find yourself on the outside looking in.
That is absolutely true. And as young as Joey is, he's growing up before us. It's even his maturity just over the past year. Coming out of middle school, heading into high school. He's really taking his work serious once he arrives at the facility, and I gave him some feedback the other day. I loved him up, Dave. Just letting him know his work that he invested here is noticeable.
Yeah, that's always good to hear. Being noticed by the right person can be a lot of inspiration.
That's an important thing for kids to understand too. Being noticed by the right person.
Right.
Might not be the person you want.
Yeah.
But it might be the right person to help you further your career academically and athletically.
All right, we have James Waters. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Class of 24 out of Heightstown High School. 3.67 GPA. Stands at 6'2", 170 pounds. He's a pitcher, right fielder, and first baseman.
James is new with our program. He started just actually, I'm trying to think here, last season. So he's still relatively new, and he's got another kid with a great build, Dave, for a young player.
Yes.
Really nice frame. Great makeup for a pitcher. Really. Not a guy that really dwells on things if something doesn't go his way, and is another strike thrower. He really does attack the zone well. And we believe that his future is primarily he's going to be a pitcher for us.
Yeah, I'm just watching. That looks like an uncomfortable arm angle for a hitter. He's going to throw a changeup now, but his fastball looked like it was kind of that had some run.
How about that?
As it did.
And that's a three-quarter. That's a three-quarter arm delivery that's running in on you. So I'm hoping that he has a good breaking ball to go with that. Because I call them sister pitches, right? If you're a hitter and you have to defend against the ball running in on you, especially heavy, it's very difficult to also cover a pitch going away. And then you start guessing and you get right in the middle, which is exactly where the pitcher wants you. That's a very nice changeup. Good arm speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I was mentioning about him attacking the zone. James has 5 complete games. And under 85 pitches, actually. Under 85 pitches, 5 complete games.
That's Greg Maddox.
It's crazy, right?
As a sophomore.
Yeah.
So that means he's attacking hitters.
He is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about being ahead of himself. I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
Okay.
Right, but
An important thing to understand, too, on a high school level, and I know you both agree with this, you can win an awful lot of baseball games with a good 4-seam, a 2-seam, and a good changeup. And not using the other stuff a lot until you get physically strong enough to be able to do that, like you said earlier about the curveball and the slider and everything else.
So far the kids that have been running up here they're gonna get some interest from coaches.
100%.
I'm really happy to see it. I really am.
And James is young yet too. He's a 24, so
Right.
He certainly has time.
So John and I were talking earlier today, and I said, "How you feeling?" And he said, "I'll be honest with you, I'm just a little bit nervous, a little anxious. I'm hoping that the kids do good," and I can relate to that. I ran a showcase every year, best in class, and we would do it at Mercer County College, Mercer County Park, and leading up to it, I would get so nervous for the kids.
Right.
Like my days are behind me.
Sure.
Having to perform and being assessed and evaluated. But I understood exactly what John meant, that you pull for the kids to do well. We know this is not, the final thing that they're going to do. They'll have other opportunities, including, most importantly, on the field. But I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, if they had butterflies, we've had at least, I think this is our 6th or 7th pitcher.
Yep.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I think
Talk about
we have
composure.
more butterflies than them, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a rough time sleeping last night, with being excited and some of the angst of wanting the kids to show well today. So they were joking with me when they arrived, so they were pretty loose.
Obviously, in any sport, discipline's very important. I'm very observant. You're watching over here. You got all the young men on their knee.
Right.
There in support. They're all into what's going on. That says a lot about these young men and the program that you're running.
Yeah, they're growing up in a different world than we grew up in. I feel for them in a lot of ways. I mean, I can remember in a Legion tournament, we had to win our league to be able to go to Lyndhurst, which is still in New Jersey. And then I was so excited to be able to stay overnight in a hotel. These guys, they're playing tournaments every weekend. How the heck do they get up for something like that? If they start out 0 for 4 in the first game, they might have a tendency to just kind of quit on that weekend because they got another tournament next weekend. So I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but it takes a special kid to be able to work through that. We got a new guy on the mound now.
It's James Madison, or Andrew Madison. I do apologize. Andrew Madison. We'll get some information on him shortly for you.
Who's pitching now for us is Andrew Madison. Andrew's been with us just in the fall season. He actually started. And he pitches and plays outfield for us. But, he's certainly leaning towards as a pitcher only at some point. He's got a really loose and electric arm. He is learning how to throw downhill. He's grown about 6 inches in the past 12 months. Speaking to one of the college coaches over the fall, recognized Andrew and could not believe, how tall he got since the last time he saw him.
Right. He's right at that age, right, where all of a sudden you start to see the physical maturity.
Yeah.
That's why, you have to be willing to give kids innings or at bats, and maybe we're getting away from that. It's all become so competitive. It's starting to feel like it's fantasy baseball for coaches, and that is not a good thing for the kids. I think you got to be willing to let a kid's body catch up to his athleticism if he's the kid that grew really early, and that may mean that you lose a game here or there because he doesn't have command, but 2 years later, that very kid might be the top pitcher in your organization if given the chance and getting the innings of experience. So I think as adults, our egos get involved so much about winning that trophy at a tournament, and we forget the priority.
Yeah.
So I think we're all on the same page here with the Centercourt Baseball Makos organization, because we have these conversations about helping them develop and supporting them.
And this is, talk about Andrew. Andrew's out of Delran, New Jersey, in Delran High School. And he's about 6 foot, 165. And so, as I mentioned, he grew about 6 inches. So,
Wow.
He was, a much shorter player a year ago.
How about the balance, John and Tom, you guys, about, it is competitive baseball. You have a lot of two-way players, especially, when you get to freshmen, 8th grade freshmen, even sophomores, before they've made the decision to become a pitcher only. There has to be something regarding enjoying the game and having fun. So I think there has to be a trust. You hope that you can build trust with the families, that they trust you, that you know what lies ahead for that player. And I can tell you this, any time that I've seen in the last 25 years when a pitcher who was a two-way player and then dedicates himself to pitching only, there's a much quicker growth. And I know what it's from, because now all of a sudden they're showing up to the field as a pitcher. They get more work done. And I always recommend, some parents over the years have said, if he's not pitching that day, does he have to come? If that's the question, why do travel ball? You should want to go. And I always say, get 2 or 3 players from the head coach and the pitching coach and sit in the dugout and just listen. Listen to what they like, what they dislike. Learn when a pitch was thrown that they felt didn't make sense, and you'll learn. But their growth when they make that change. Now that doesn't mean everyone should do that, because there are two-way players that go off to college. So that's a trust, I think, that has to be built from the staff and the organization.
But even if the two-way players do go off to college, sooner or later they may have to make a decision as a junior or senior year. Hey, you might be the third baseman, or you might be the pitcher. We got to make a decision here to make you a better person and a better player, and make the program better too. And even this young age is very hard. I understand that, but if a young man would have to say, "Well, I just pitched yesterday, I have to come tomorrow." Yes, you do, son. You're going to keep the pitching chart today.
Right.
And you're going to chart what's going on, or you're going to be the guy charting the hitters during BP to see what they can hit and what they can't hit. Give them an opportunity to understand that's what's going to happen at college.
Right.
because you pitched on Thursday, you might be the pitching chart guy on Saturday.
Yeah.
That might be your job. Or you might be the BP analyst guy on Saturday.
All right, now we have Justin Doherty out of Burlington Township High School, 5'11", 160 pounds. He's a first baseman, third baseman pitcher, class of 24 with a 3.5 GPA.
And rather obviously, he's the brother of the other Doherty.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Justin's the younger brother. Ian made mention his dad pitched at Ryder some time ago, and Justin is one that actually he's played up for me at times on our 17U team, and has given me some innings and really competed well. In fact, we competed down in Perfect Game over the summer in Georgia, and both him and his brother combined for a win for us down there.
We had talked, John actually, I came in on the back end of it when he was addressing the players about body language and how important it is, not just in an event like this, but even on the field. And I always found like some of your best leaders, eventually, they seem to have a temper because they just despise failing, but they just need guidance, right? So I don't want to throw those kids away, but I do want to have conversations with those kids about, look, I appreciate the fact that you hate failing. I really do. But you're letting it affect the rest of your game, the rest of your performance, let alone what you're bringing into the dugout. And they seem to listen to that. That I'm not saying don't do it because it's wrong or don't do it because it looks bad. Just it's affecting your performance. Bad example of what I've actually said, if you really want to beat yourself up, get a good head start and run head first into the side of the dugout. And they always look at me kind of funny.
You've said that before.
Yep. But I feel like that'll hurt you and it won't affect the rest of the team.
Right.
And they're not really going to do that, obviously. But my point is, just corral this a little bit. Get it out of your system, but do it after the game. Paul O'Neill, for anybody who's a Yankee fan out there going back several years, he was ridiculous coming up through the minor leagues. He was a helmet kicker, slamming everything. And then he started to just corral it a little, not all the way. The camera always followed him back, even with the Yankees. But, he ended up being a captain,
Almost piggybacking off of that, being competitive. You think about Justin Doherty playing up, John, and the fact that he was willing to step up and be competitive in that situation, realizing he was moving up the ranks a little bit. So it says a lot about him from a competitive standpoint.
I think a hard thing to understand. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think a hard thing to understand, kids with baseball too, is the fact that baseball is a game of failure. Probably one of the biggest games of failure ever played. If you even hit 1 for 3 for the rest of your life, you're probably going to make it to the Hall of Fame if you reach that plateau. I mean, this is hard, and you have to get kids to understand. On the days you're going to pitch, on your worst day that you feel, you might pitch the best. You might have 98.6 temperature and have a really horrible day on the mound, and have to learn how to handle that and control that.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good experience for him to go down there with the older team. Actually, he took another player out of the 24 class, and it's going to help them. When it's time for them to go down there, just based on experience, it's going to help his teammates. What to expect. With travel, and then also playing teams from around the country.
Well, plus, like Dave said earlier, and you said earlier too, you gave this kid an opportunity he may not get with another program or someone else to get the chance to move up the slot and see what we can do.
Yeah. Another Burlington Township kid too, Dave. The South Jersey schools better look out. Township's going to be pretty strong coming up.
It looks that way. I just keep looking at him and thinking about the advantage of having a dad that did what he did.
Yeah.
And it did it at a high level. I'm obviously, as I use this example again, I'm a Chiefs fan. I've been for over 50 years. And Patrick Mahomes, I know his dad. I do some baseball programs with his dad. The advantage for Patrick to have his father pitch in the big leagues, and then his godfather, LaTroy Hawkins, also pitched in the big leagues. The way Patrick handles the media, to me, is a direct reflection. And he's been going through adversity. So this is kind of what we're talking about with these kids is you're going to go through adversity. You're going to experience failure. How do you bounce back from it? How do you handle it? Do you point fingers? Do you say, I'm not being coached up enough? Are you going to point the finger at the coach when you're not hitting or you're not pitching well? Or are you going to handle it? Are you going to work harder? Come in early the next day? And for me, in talking to a coach, a high-level school, and I'm trying to balance out whether a kid can play there, I always think, what will he do when he fails? Is he going to want to pack up the tent and go home, or is he going to work through it? Looks like we got a southpaw coming up.
We do.
We got a lefty coming up.
Ethan Rissmiller? Did I say that right, John?
Ethan Rissmiller. That's correct. I think we have a couple lefties back-to-back coming up here.
I think there might be two of them, I think.
Ethan and then McMara. So just finishing up with Justin Doherty, and then we'll kick off with Ethan. Justin comes from a great baseball family, as we talked about, and high baseball IQ. And we talked about his dad, pitching at a high level, and I have to bring this up because not all parents give their kids space at the field. And even with this experience, the boys, when it's time, when they're pitching, you don't know he's around. So which is really nice. But he's there certainly for them for confidence. But it's sometimes parents have a hard time letting go a little bit and letting the kids do their thing. And we're very fortunate with our families here, where when it's game time or practice time, that they understand it. The kids are ours at that point.
Absolutely.
So Ethan's got a great build here too. He's a taller kid, and he's got tree trunks for legs, Dave. And Ethan is another strike thrower, just attacks the zone, doesn't give up free passes. His velocity is on the lower end, but he gets outs. And the guys are going to run into balls occasionally, and chances are, we talked about the game of failure. You're putting the ball in play, the odds are you're going to get it out. And it's tough.
He's left-handed.
That's correct.
And he's left-handed.
Sometimes you map out for these young athletes what it's going to take to be able to play in college at any level. People don't realize how hard it is to play at any level in college, and what an accomplishment it is. But typically a guy who's under the radar, no pun intended, with his velocity, the way they can make it is they've got to be able to pitch backwards, right? They've got to be able to throw their breaking ball in fastball situations and vice versa. They got to not be afraid to come in off the plate to speed up a bat to go with their changeup away. They got to field their position. They got to hold runners. It's a lot to ask, but it's an avenue. And the sooner that these kids all find out what their avenue is, then the sooner they can work on that. And I think that's our responsibility, is just to paint that picture. Here's the truth of the matter. You can go to another organization who tells you what you want to hear. There's plenty of them out there. But that's not going to happen here. Just being around John, I just feel like it's going to be straightforward and the truth, and we're going to help you with that map, and we'll be honest with you.
I'm just watching his breaking ball. I get a little excited. I have a lot of passion. I'm watching his breaking ball. It's nasty.
It really
Forget
is.
the velo, man.
Yeah.
That's his out pitch right there, no doubt.
That was pretty steep.
It's been consistent with it.
It was. Ethan was a kid. A few years ago, I was coaching high school in Pennsylvania, and I walk in the gym for the first time in all season workouts, and I see him throwing as a freshman. I'm like, my goodness, he would look good in a Mako uniform. And things worked out. He ended up coming over, and he's done a really nice job for us. Yeah.
I've actually coached kids that have a breaking ball. In fact, one comes to mind when I was at Mercer. who had a very, very steep curveball. He's a left-handed pitcher, and it was so steep that umpires were missing it. So I always told our catcher, when you go out, you have to have that conversation with the umpire. He's got to be prepared. Tell him that this is a steep breaking ball. Hang with it. Delay your call if you have to. And once we started getting it, that pitcher would get it all game. But boy, that was tight. I don't know where that came from, but it was an unhittable breaking ball.
He threw a game for us down in Florida against a nationally ranked team. In Georgia against a Florida team, and he went toe to toe with them, and we luck up and we're winning 4-1, and we were just a little bit gassed. Our back end of the bullpen, we kind of ran out of gas a little bit. We ended up tying them 4-4, but with the success for Ethan that day was he was very comfortable who he was and how to get outs. And he stayed within himself. Some guys, you're playing a nationally ranked team. I got to be really special today, and he stayed in his lane, and he got the job done for us.
All right, we have Mac Meir out of Hamilton West High School, class of 23 junior. He's a pitcher outfielder. Stands at 6'1", 165 with a 4.67 GPA. I think if you took that GPA and divided it by 3, I think that's what mine was in high school.
Right? Yeah, we talked about academics earlier. You look up and down our program, particularly in our older teams. You're going to see that they take great pride in their results there, and they know how important it is. And Mac is he's a very cerebral kid, very smart, bright, looking to major in maybe some type of engineering, architect, and he's always wanting to learn, if we got an off night, or we're not together, it's not unusual for my phone to go off and it's Mac and asking if I'm tuned into a specific game and, hey, did I see this or did I see that? Wow.
Yeah. Plus, it'd be interesting to see him in a game because if you watch his routine, he gets a ball back, he's right on the mound, ready to pitch again.
Works fast.
Love it. My fielders love it.
I almost want to yell out, breathe.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He's breathing because he's pounding his own.
Yeah. Well, he's left-handed. That looks pretty good. I'm just watching him and getting excited watching him. But for all of you guys, sometimes I've played with guys who are really intelligent, and sometimes it can get in their way. And other times, I played, like Tom Glavin is a great example, very intelligent, who used his intelligence to be successful as a pitcher. Then I've seen some real knuckleheads academically who are extremely smart baseball-wise. It's just crazy how it's across the board. But I think each individual athlete has to learn how to apply their intelligence to the game itself in performance under stress.
I agree with that because I coached at an Ivy League school for 6 years, and we got some real intelligent kids, but some days it was a mess out here because they were trying to overanalyze and always in their own way.
Yeah.
Mira hanging around 78, 79 miles an hour, but it's effortless, though.
Yeah.
So there's a lot left in the tank.
Yeah, there is. We certainly believe so. And Mac was a basketball kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, we had a really good talk the end of fall and through our all season of last year, and say, hey, what do you really want? And says, Coach, I want to pitch at the college level, and we talked about strength, just body strength and conditioning, and how important it was. And he reevaluated some things and has decided to go exclusively baseball at this point. So this will be the first year, and he got his. He's got one of his first jobs. He's working at a gym, so he's in there all the time.
Nice.
And he's going to invest himself, and he's going to try and get stronger.
All right, that'll do it for the pitchers. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to move to the catching. I'm sorry. How dare I say that, Coach? The receivers, right? We're going to go to catchers next, so we're going to go to a break. We'll be back here
I would rather use that terminology.
on BFA Sports.
Great.
All right, welcome back to Center Court in Lawrence. I guess it's Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Got Kyle Stoner behind the dish out of Burlington Township. What he's going to do is he's going to frame 3 or 4, then go down to third for 2, and he'll shoot down to second for 4, and then he'll block
Looks like
3.
Looks like Coach is throwing some breaking balls.
It looks like Jimmy's cutting the ball on him a little bit. Kyle's he's a freshman out of Burlington Township. Very strong student. You can see he's academically gifted, and very proud of Kyle. He started varsity as a freshman this past year, and
Al, just give him the radio.
another strong kid out of Burlington Township.
Pretty quick release, huh, John?
Yeah,
It's a quick exchange, quick release.
It is, yeah. It looks like he was rushing a little bit.
Yeah, Tom, when you see a ball fade on throws down to second, is that front side almost like a pitcher, front side leading
Yes,
to her?
yeah, and he's not he wasn't following through at all. He was just letting the ball go and standing straight up.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And
Maybe
he
trying
was
to be
sailing.
too
Right.
fast?
I
think
I think he was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
yeah, and maybe our pace was a little fast for Kyle, but Kyle's certainly a bright talent for us, and we're very happy to have him.
All right, we got
This is Jackson Peacock.
Peacock, 2024.
He's out of Cinnaminson. And Jackson's new with us. He started in the fall. Jackson's got a good build. He's 6'2", 165, and just a younger kid, and he's got the height. Now we just need to get stronger and fill out a little bit.
So here's even a good case here we talked about earlier with the receivers or the catchers. This would be a good opportunity. Good line drive throw, usually AstroTurf. Good one-hop throw right to the middle infielder.
That was a good shoot there by Jackson Peacock. Now working on his blocking skills.
Starting to see a lot of showcase events. I actually like it when they do a block and recover, like that one right there.
Right.
You know, how quick you can be on your feet. Is this Max?
This is Arjun.
This is Arjun.
Arjun
Oh.
Sue, is that how you say his last name? Is it H?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep. And Arjun's one of our younger guys
Okay.
in the class of 2026.
Wait a minute. Class of 26?
Yeah.
Young guy.
I'm not really good at math, but doesn't that make him an 8th grader?
He is Arjun is an 8th grader. That's correct.
Wow.
Very good, Al.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate the love. I can feel it. Arjun stands at 5'9", 160 with a 3.9 GPA. Just an 8th grader.
Arjun put a lot of work in this past year, and really improving and trying to prevent the ball from being loose around him. Some young players are jumping pitches or maybe boxing pitches up where the pitch is beating them to the spot, and he's really worked hard improving there, and he's come a long way, and I know that he's going to continue to do that in this off season.
So much value in what you're describing, that work ethic. If a kid can play in high school, if he can be part of a high school team, the self-esteem, the structure, and the discipline, the socially how it can kind of make you a little more acceptable with your peers, and help you in those years. And if you can even go off to college and do it, that makes you even more special.
All right, we have Robert Bettler, class of 25, stands at 5'7", 130, with a 3.5 GPA.
Yeah, Bobby's almost took our camera guy out down there.
I almost got him.
I applaud him. I mean, he didn't flinch. So, Doug, that's impressive. You got a great group there. It takes a lot of courage.
Only because he didn't see it coming.
That's a really
Yeah,
nice
his
throw
eye
there
on the
from
camera.
Bobby. Really nice throw. Yeah, Bobby's is a player. He's still trying to find his way on the field, different spots. He's an infielder. He's a catcher. He just wants to play,
Right.
and he's still a very young player.
That's hard to do too, because you're talking a couple different arm angles here.
Yeah.
With the middle infield, outfield, catcher, receiver.
Well, again, I think that falls on us to be able to help guide them towards where they fit best. Take some time.
Even when you get to this part of the game with blocking pitches, I mean, you constantly hear people telling kids, good block, good block. What is really a good block? Well, we talk about that basic circle you should keep the ball in.
Right.
A good block is when the runner doesn't advance.
Yeah,
Even if it's not done perfectly. When the
Right.
runner does not advance, it's got to be a good block.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a good block, but the guy still advances.
Right.
Because he's an excellent base runner, gets a good read on the trajectory of the ball.
Yeah.
All right, well, that'll do it for the, dare I say, catchers, but receivers, in honor of
Thank
Mr.
Yeah, I have.
legendary coach Tom Ryder. We're going to go to a break. We're going to go to infield outfielders. It's going to be on a separate stream right on our BFA Live Sports YouTube page. So go there. We'll be back right around 11 o'clock. So we'll see you right here on BFA Sports.